Ever wondered what would happen if you crossed a high-end gaming rig with a 30-ton armored tank? You might think I'm joking, or maybe describing some concept art from a sci-fi movie where the hero saves the world with a joystick, but this is exactly what the Singapore Army has actually built. It's not just a toy, and it's not just a fancy prototype sitting in an air-conditioned exhibition hall. This is the Hunter Armored Fighting Vehicle, fully operational, combat-ready, and widely recognized as the world's first fully digitalized AFV. Hello everyone, Mick here from Pacific Steel. Today we're not just going to talk about how thick the armor is or the range of its cannon like a typical weapon review. We've seen 100 of those. Instead, we're going to talk about software architecture and user experience on the battlefield, because the Hunter represents a massive turning point in military history. It's screaming to the world that the future of warfare isn't measured by who has the biggest gun or the thickest steel, but by who can process data the fastest. For over a century, tanks were defined by horsepower and caliber. Now they're defined by processing power and bandwidth. And here's the kicker, the craziest part about this vehicle that still blows my mind. It has no steering wheel. None. Zero. Picture this, a vehicle weighing nearly 30 tons, tearing through rough terrain at 45 miles per hour, and there is nothing physical to grab onto in front of you. No steering wheel, no heavy levers, just screens. How do you drive it? How do you feel the road? How does a teenage conscript who just put down his gaming controller learn to operate this beast without crashing it into a ditch? And why does international media call this the iPhone of armored vehicles? Today, we're going deep, from design philosophy to real-world combat capabilities, to find the answers. Before we look at the tech, we need to understand the pain point, the real challenge Singapore faces. This nation has a national security issue that isn't about enemies crossing the border, but a crisis of human resources. Singapore's birth rate has been dropping alarmingly, a phenomenon known as the silver tsunami. Statistics show that the number of able-bodied men entering the mandatory conscription system is projected to drop by a third by 2030. This is a simple math problem that recruitment posters can't solve. The Singapore Army is inevitably going to get smaller, while the threats around them get more complex and sophisticated. So the challenge for the Ministry of Defense, or MINDEF, wasn't just to build the toughest tank. They had to build a weapons platform that allows them to do more with less. They needed a force multiplier that could bridge that gap. That is the genesis of the next-generation armored fighting vehicle, known as the Hunter, developed by the local tech giant ST Engineering. Their goal was to retire the grandfather of the fleet, the M113 Ultra, which has been in service since the Cold War. No matter how much you upgrade it, an analog platform just can't keep up with modern data demands. The Hunter was designed from the tracks up to support digital natives, Generation Z soldiers who grew up with touchscreens and smartphones glued to their hands. The concept is simple. A new recruit should be able to hop in and understand the system immediately. It's like upgrading from a Nokia brick to a new smartphone. You figure it out in 5 minutes without needing years of complex mechanical training. This is literally solving a demographic problem with technology. From the outside, the Hunter AFV looks like a 29.5-ton beast. The design is sleek but aggressive. It didn't go for the 8x8 wheeled system like the Striker or Boxer popular in the West. Instead, it stuck with a tracked system. Why tracks? Because the terrain in Southeast Asia is unforgiving. It is full of rainforests, deep mud, and soft soil, especially during the monsoon season. Tracks have lower ground pressure, allowing the vehicle to float over terrain where heavy wheeled vehicles would sink and become sitting ducks. It's a design that deeply understands its local geography, building for where you fight, not just following global trends. The vehicle is about 23 feet long and 11 feet wide. It carries 8 fully equipped infantrymen, plus a crew of 3, the commander, the driver, and the gunner. Everyone sits safely under modular armor, which can be swapped out or upgraded depending on the threat level, offering flexibility against everything from small arms to IEDs. But the real game changer isn't the steel plates, it's the eyes hidden around the hull. If you look closely, you'll see high-resolution cameras and sensors installed 360 degrees around the vehicle, functioning day and night. This is a system called Iron Vision. In the past, a tank's biggest weakness was visibility. It was claustrophobic.
Soldiers had to risk their lives popping their heads out of the hatch to spot enemies or peer through tiny needle-hole viewports that gave them tunnel vision. Iron Vision solves this by taking feeds from all those cameras, processing them, and stitching them together into a seamless panoramic view on the crew's screens. It's as if the thick armor around them has become transparent. They can see enemies hiding behind walls, spot IED craters near the tracks, or track drones overhead without opening the hatch for even a second. This is perfect hatch-down operation, drastically increasing survivability and reducing the psychological stress of being blind in a metal box. Now, let's get to the highlight I mentioned earlier, my favorite part of this vehicle. Imagine walking into the driver's compartment. What do you see? No giant steering wheel, no long gear stick, no analog dials or a dashboard with 1,000 confusing switches. What you see is the Army Combat Cockpit. It feels more like a modern aircraft cockpit or a high-end flight simulator. It's lined with large touchscreens and a flight-style controller called a yoke. This is a fully drive-by-wire system, one of the first of its kind in the armored world. Steering, acceleration, braking, everything is commanded via electrical signals, not hydraulic links or steering columns. You push the stick, a computer interprets the signal, and the vehicle moves. What's the advantage? Besides smoothness and precision, the massive benefit is mission flexibility. This system makes the crew positions fully interchangeable. Let's say the gunner gets injured or their screen malfunctions. The commander can press a single button on their own screen to take control of the weapon system immediately. In an extreme emergency, even the driver can access the weapon systems from the driving seat. The software defines the role, not the physical seat. And what blows my mind is the user interface. ST Engineering didn't just slap this together. They used UX/UI design principles on par with top-tier tech apps. The display looks exactly like a first-person shooter video game. You've got red box indicators for enemies, easy-to-read ammo counters, health bars for vehicle status, and a mini-map in the corner showing friendlies and hostiles. For a Gen Z conscript, there is almost zero learning curve because it speaks their visual language. It's the interface they know from Call of Duty or Battlefield. This is brilliant human-centric design. It reduces fatigue and drastically lowers the chance of error in high-pressure situations. If you can play a PlayStation, you are halfway to driving a Hunter. But the truly scary part of the Hunter isn't the gun or the armor, it's the brain hidden in the server rack known as Artemis and the HunterNet network. The Hunter is the first AFV to install an automatic target detection and tracking system powered by full-blown AI. To put it simply, when a soldier looks through a camera, the camera isn't just showing a picture, it's thinking and analyzing. The AI constantly scans the environment for anomalies. It can distinguish between an enemy tank, a soldier with an RPG, or just a civilian on a bicycle. When it finds a threat, it automatically highlights it and alerts the crew. This massively reduces cognitive load. Imagine being a commander. You're listening to the radio, checking the map, and trying to spot a camouflaged enemy 2,000 meters away. It's easy for a human brain to get overwhelmed and miss something. But Artemis doesn't get overwhelmed. It doesn't get tired, it doesn't blink, and it doesn't panic. It filters out the noise so the human can focus solely on the kill decision while the AI handles the searching. And when one vehicle sees an enemy, that data doesn't stay in that single vehicle. HunterNet acts like a battlefield Wi-Fi, uploading enemy coordinates to the Army's cloud instantly. Another hunter, miles away, which might have a better firing angle, sees that enemy on their map immediately. Artillery units in the rear, or even fighter jets get that same real-time data. This is the true meaning of network-centric warfare. Singapore hasn't just built a tank, they've built a rolling shooting data node. It makes their decision cycle, the OODA loop, observe, orient, decide, act, exponentially faster than the enemy's. While the enemy is still using radios and paper maps, the hunter is fighting at the speed of light. See first, decide first, shoot first, and win first. We've talked a lot about tech, so for the action fans, let's talk firepower. This toy comes with an unmanned remote-controlled weapon station, the Samson 30 from Rafael, Israel. Main weapon, a 30mm Mk-44 Bushmaster II cannon. This is a NATO standard. It packs enough punch to shred enemy APCs or IFVs and punch through concrete walls. It also supports airburst rounds, programmable ammo that explodes in mid-air above a trench or behind a wall to take out infantry hiding behind cover. Secondary weapon, a 7.62mm coaxial machine gun for general infantry targets. But here's the question. What if the Hunter runs into a heavyweight like a main battle tank with thick armor? A 30mm cannon won't scratch it. Don't worry, the Hunter has an ace up its sleeve. Hidden in the turret is a retractable launcher for 2 Spike LR-2 anti-tank guided missiles. Push a button and they pop up ready to fire. These missiles are brutal. They can be fired in fire and forget mode or man in the loop, where you guide the missile yourself via fiber optic cable. Most importantly, they have a range of over 3 miles or 5.5 kilometers and can perform a top attack, diving down to penetrate the thinnest armor on top of an enemy tank's turret. So even against a heavy tank that costs 3 times as much, if the Hunter locks on, it's game over. Now let's look at what everyone wants to know, the price and the specs. What does this level of space-age tech cost? I've put together a summary table with estimated procurement costs right here. From this table, you can see the Hunter is a heavy IFV. It weighs nearly 30 tons, trading weight for superior protection. Regarding the price per unit, Singapore doesn't publish exact numbers since it's domestic production. However, if we benchmark it against comparable vehicles in the global market, like the German Puma or the British Ajax, which have similarly complex electronics, the estimated price lands somewhere between $6 to $7 million per unit. That might sound shockingly high for a single-tracked vehicle, but remember, this price includes the cutting-edge C4I systems. If you look at it as a long-term investment to reduce manpower requirements and minimize casualties, which you can't put a price tag on, it's a very smart, calculated investment. You are paying for the brain, not just the brawn. In conclusion, the Singaporean Hunter AFV is the clearest, most tangible evidence that the future of warfare is data. We are fully crossing over from the era of mechanical warfare into the era of digital warfare. The fact that a single vehicle can act as a mini command center, turning an ordinary conscript into a highly efficient system operator, sets a new standard that armies around the world are watching and trying to replicate. While many nations are still arguing about barrel size or steel thickness, Singapore has skipped ahead to focus on AI, algorithms, and network architecture. To the old guard, it might look like an expensive gadget, but for the new generation and modern tactics, the Hunter is ahead of its time, opening the door to that future. What do you guys think? If your country's army adopted vehicles like this, how much do you think AI would help the soldiers? Or would it just be a maintenance nightmare relying more on programmers than mechanics? And do you think human instinct is still necessary in a tank where the AI is this smart? Let me know in the comments below. Let's have a constructive discussion. That's it for today. See you in the next video.